Hey friend, if you're here, chances are you've been feeling a little stuck lately. Maybe your sketchbook's been closed for a while now, or maybe you sit down to draw and nothing comes out. Maybe you just feel kind of disconnected from your creative self lately. That feeling, the heaviness, the frustration, the disconnection, that's what I call art block. So join me for a quick chat while I work on drawing a friend's OC. Art block is a weird place to be. It's not quite burnout and it's not quite laziness either. It's more like your creativity has gone quiet. It's still there, but sleeping, waiting for you to approach it a little bit differently. And that's what I want to talk about today: how to get out of art block without forcing it, how to move through this stuck phase gently, mindfully, and patiently. I used to think that when I hit an art block, the solution was to work harder, push through. I'd sit down and try to force myself to draw, set deadlines, make lists, ignore the discomfort. And sometimes it worked, but only for a short period of time. But more often than not, it made the block worse. It made it come back stronger and usually lasted longer because of me pushing through it. Art isn't something you often force into existence. It usually doesn't respond well to pressure, it responds to presence, and it responds to patience. So now, when I feel blocked, I try something different. Instead of powering through, I ask, what's the state trying to tell me? Sometimes the answer is simple: I'm tired. I've been overworked or overstressed, not getting enough sleep, overstimulated. Or maybe I just need a break. And yes, breaks are allowed. In fact, breaks are necessary. Because as we discussed in my previous videos, your creativity isn't a machine. But let's say you've rested and you've taken space and you still feel stuck. Sometimes the way back into creativity is small, tiny steps, no pressure. A sketching session in your favorite park or cafe, just a quiet reintroduction to your art practice. Like I mentioned, I used to fight art block with force. I'd pressure myself to make something useful, and it only made things worse. I'd get overwhelmed, spiral, and even feel more disconnected. But then I started treating it more like a season, and things changed. Small steps forward, doing something tiny, like drawing one leaf, or coloring just one square, just to feel the pencil on paper, just to hear a familiar sound. No plan, no product, no pressure, just motion, just texture, just presence. Those tiny motions remind your brain, I still know how to do this, or I've missed this feeling. And that quiet confidence, it builds. Not to sound overly cheesy, but here are a few practical things that often help me get out of art block. Number one is making something ugly on purpose. Seriously, give yourself complete permission to make bad, ugly art. Draw with your non dominant hand, spill some paint to make some shapes and draw over them. Use clashing colors, doodle without thinking. The goal isn't beauty, it's motion. Sometimes the best way out of art block is to lower the stakes completely. Number two is to switch up your tools. If you always sketch with a pencil, try markers. If you usually go for neat lines, try messy texture. Changing your materials, even so slightly, can refresh your creative muscles. Try coloring in a way you normally wouldn't. Use colors you'd usually avoid, and just let your hands explore, even if your brain is unsure. You're not trying to make something good, just something different than you usually would. Number three would be to fill a page with swatches or patterns, while watching your favorite show, of course. No drawing, no objects, just marks, circles, lines, gradients, scribbles, color blocks. There's something so meditative about this. It reconnects you with the physical acts of creating without any narrative or pressure. And often, once your hands are moving, your ideas begin to follow. Number four would be to draw from life without trying to make it perfect. Look around you: your desk, your room, your hand. The plant in the window. Draw it as simply or as messy as you'd like. The point is to observe without thinking too much or getting stuck in the what should I draw phase. Remove any excessive obstacles between you and making art. Slowing down to really see something changes how we feel inside. It gets us out of our heads and back into the moment. Number 5 would be to keep a low pressure sketchbook. I've mentioned this before, and I promise it's a game changer. One that's just for you. No sharing, no polishing, no rules. A space where you're allowed to be messy, bored, weird, or totally unproductive. Mine is full of half finished sketches, color experiments, and even to do lists. But it's also the place I feel most free, because I'm not trying to prove anything there. I'm just existing with my creative self, no strings attached. Free from all expectations. Number 6 would be to revisit your older art and look for growth, not flaws. Try and flip through your old sketchbooks. Scroll back to your first digital drawings, not to cringe, but to witness. For example, my first digital drawing was a fantasy landscape that I drew in Photoshop using a mouse. Needless to say, it looks terrible. You've grown, even if it doesn't always feel like it, even if you're not where you want to be yet. If you don't believe me, pick one old piece and try to redraw it. Change the lighting, the pose, keep it fun, just to see how much you've grown. Art block makes it easy to forget how far you've come, so gently remind yourself. Number 7 would be to take inspiration without guilt. It's okay to draw what you see online, and it's okay to copy things for practice, as long as you don't claim them as your own. Remember to always give proper credit and don't try to monetize the work you copied of someone. Make sure it's just a learning experience. We all learn through repetition and imitation. It's part of how creativity evolves. The goal isn't to steal, it's to study, to see what makes some artist's style unique, how they use color, lines, and composition, just to spark something inside of you, to notice what you're drawn to and to try to understand why. Over time, those influences mix with your own ideas and experience, and from that blend, your style emerges. But that's a whole other topic. Number 8 would be to draw some fan art. Take your favorite show, for example, and draw a character from it in your own style. Or ask a friend if you can draw their OC, or try to participate in a Draw This in Your Style challenge, just like I'm doing right now. Sometimes it's easier to create when all the decisions have been made for us. You already know how the character looks or feels, and now it's up to you to bring it up to your own vision. Number 9 would be to go analog. Step away from all the screens in your life for a while. Go outside, observe the world around you. People watch. I know it sounds stupidly simple, but it's good advice. Creativity is rooted in noticing, so give yourself space to see again. And number 10 would be to binge. Quite the opposite of the last suggestion, but hear me out. Sometimes you just need to get that new game or TV show out of your system. And I can't even begin to explain how many times that game has sparked so much creativity and got me back ready and excited to create again. Sometimes it's the character design, other times it's the amazing fantasy landscapes, the rich story, or the astonishing soundtrack. Inspiration is endless if you just know where to look for it. I believe the scariest part of art block isn't the lack of ideas. It's the self doubt that creeps in when the ideas stop. The voice that says, you're not a real artist, or you'll never be as good as them. But that voice isn't the truth, it's just fear. And fear is loud when creativity goes quiet. That's why it's so important to be gentle with yourself in those moments and not to treat yourself as a machine, but as a human being in need of rest and in need of a good recharge. Creativity isn't always a loud, colorful explosion. Sometimes it's quiet, subtle. Sometimes it comes back as a whisper, not as a scream, and it's your job to hear it through all the noise. So, if you've been feeling blocked or disconnected from your art, here's what I want you to remember. You are still an artist, even if you haven't drawn in weeks. Even if you're just watching art videos and gathering the courage to start again. You are not behind, you are a work in progress. And that's a beautiful place to be. Thank you for being here today and sharing your valuable time with me. I hope this video reminded you that it's okay to feel disconnected. Art will come back to you. You don't need to chase it. You just need to make space for it again. So take your time, be gentle with yourself, and when you're ready, pick up your pencil and begin again. I'll see you in the next one.